Hello everyone, wishing you all a very good evening. I hope all of you are fine, happy, and healthy. Am I audible and visible to all of you? Can you just raise hands and tell me? Am I audible, visible? Yes or no? Vishnu, Shailucha, am I audible? Am I visible? Great. So, in the last class, I think we started with EMI and we'll continue with EMI. I think the last thing that we did in the class was motional EMF, and I also gave you a couple of cases. I mean, 7 or 8 cases, and I told you that they cover almost all types of questions that can be made in this particular segment. I also told you that there are three ways to change magnetic flux. One is by rotating, changing the angle between B and A. The second is by changing area. Anything that changes area will come under this purview of motional EMF. And the third one is changing magnetic field with time, and that will be under the heading of induced electric field. Now, since we had done this motional EMF, what I'll do is today we'll try to see some examples which I am taking from your notes only. I hope you have got those notes with you. Did you get it? Yes or no? These notes in your group? I'd already sent them yesterday. I hope they are there with you now. Yes or no? So basically, why does this induced EMF come when you move a conductor in a magnetic field? It can be understood on the basis of this magnetic force. I hope all of you know this. Whenever you have a conductor moving inside a magnetic field, is nothing but a large number of charges which are moving, and when these charges move, because of magnetic fold V cross B, positive charges move towards one end and negative charges move towards the other end, and hence we have a potential difference coming, and the potential difference we have seen is VBL. We also had seen different cases where the angle between VBLL was not 90, it was different. We saw that it is V cross B dot DL. It was scalar triple product. Okay, so I asked you to do all the cases that were given in this. I hope you have done this. All the different cases, they were given. I'll just do one or two as questions here. This question number 3, find the EMF across the points P and Q, which are diametrically opposite points of a semicircular loop moving in a magnetic field as shown. Also draw the electrical circuit of each branch. So now what I do, I have a semicircular loop and I move it inside a magnetic field. And what is the induced EMF in this loop? Remember, it is like this. Point P, point Q is like this, and you are moving it with a velocity V like this inside a magnetic field which is going inside. What will be the EMF induced in this loop? Anyone? Do you know how to get it solved? What will be the answer? To get the EMF induced in this loop, you just have to draw a straight line and find the EMF induced in that loop. When you draw that straight line and V are both parallel, L and V become parallel, and hence induced EMF in this entire loop becomes zero, because remember V cross B dot dl, it is a scalar triple product, and scalar triple product vanishes when any two vectors are parallel. Here, which two vectors are parallel? You can see here vector V and dl, they are both coming parallel to each other, and hence the induced EMF is zero. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this? Yes or no? Vishnu, Jayant, Sailusha, do we understand this better? How we have done this? Great. So these are simple questions, and you can see they can be done simply. As such, let us look at this example then. Find the EMF across the points P and Q, which are diametrically opposite end of a semicircular loop. It is a closed loop here, semicircular closed loop, moving in a magnetic field. Also draw the equivalent diagram of each branch. So it is a semicircular closed loop now. What will be the induced EMF in this loop? So there are two branches here. One is the circular one, semicircular one, and the other one is the straight one. What will be the induced EMF in this loop? For the semicircular one, the induced EMF will be 2V V 2B V into A. For this for the straight part, it will be also 2V B into A. So the final answer will become zero, because both of these will cancel each other out. Yes or no? Do we understand this? The net EMF in this entire loop has to be zero. If you have a full loop, the net EMF in that entire loop becomes zero. Can I have some reason that we understand this? Great. Similar to this question, PQRS is a loop which is moving in a uniform magnetic field. You have to draw the back-tree diagram of this group. As you can see, in this part, there will not be any induced EMF. In this part, there will not be any induced EMF, because L and V are parallel. Induced EMF will only come in that RQ and PS part. In that RQ part, V cross B. So R will be positive and Q will be negative. Similarly, for this part, SP, S will be positive, P will be negative. So these are the diagrams drawn here. But these two batteries will then cancel out each other, and the net EMF in the entire loop becomes zero. Once you get the value of this battery, remember, once you get the value of this battery here is zero. If I have asked you current in this circuit will also be zero. But if the case would be like this, where you have in between these two lines, you have a magnetic field, and then it is entering the loop, this same loop PQRS, if it is entering the loop, and if someone asks you what is the current in this loop, how will you get it? Magnetic field is given as B, velocity is given as V, and the length of the loop, square loop, is given as L. In this case, what will happen? This part, no EMF. This part, no EMF. This part is outside, so no EMF. Only one line on one length is inside. So EMF induced in this part will be VLB. VLB will be the EMF, and the battery would be like this, V cross B. R will be higher potential, Q will be lower potential, and current will flow like this. How much will be the current? This will be the induced EMF or the battery current. In this case will become V B L by R, where R is the resistance of the entire loop. Do we understand how a question can come in this category and how you can solve it? Once you draw all the batteries, the question becomes simple to solve, because then it is a simple question of an electrical circuit that can be solved using Kirchhoff's law or using nodal theorem, which I told you. Do we understand this? Can I have reason that we understand this, sir? Once you convert each and every side into a battery, this simply becomes a question of Kirchhoff's law can be easily done using the concept of Kirchhoff's loop law. Here is an example that you see. Figure 6 shows a rod of length L, resistance R, moving on railroad shorted by resistance capital R. Magnetic field is present normal to the plane. Show the electrical equivalence of each branch. In this branch, nothing. In this branch, nothing. In this branch, nothing. Only EMF will be induced in this branch. That will be equal to BLV, V cross B. So this point will be higher potential. This point will be lower potential. So the battery becomes like this. Now the current will flow like this. How much will be the current? V PL upon small r plus capital R. Do we understand this? How I have done this? Can I have reason that we understand this? Great. These are some typical questions that can come in this category. I'll also give you one more. There are lots of questions that can come in this category. See, I can make a question of this type. It's better that I make it like this. So, tick, 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 tick. This is resistance R1. This is resistance R2. Now this is a rod of length L. Length is given as L, moving with a velocity V in a magnetic field which is going inside B. If I call the current in this branch as I1, if I call the current in this branch as I2, and if I call the current in the central branch as I, can you tell me the value of I1, I2, and I? Can you tell me the value of I1, I2, and I? This is a simple question based on concept of motional EMF. I'll give you 2 minutes. Anyone with an answer? How will you do it? So how will you do it? Anyone? Okay. I'll convert everything into a battery. The only thing that will be converted into a battery would be this branch. What will be the value of battery of this branch? Anyone? So I can take this branch out, and in place of this branch, oops, everything has gone out. In place of this branch, I will put a battery, and the battery would be like this. V cross B. The upper point becomes higher potential, the lower point becomes lower potential. The value of EMF is VBL. Do we all understand this? Yes or no? Then I can find the value of this I1. I1 की value will be VBL by R1. I can find the value of I2, VBL by R2. What will be the value of I? I will be equal to I1 plus I2, and that will be our answer. Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? So this is how we can use this principle and find out how we find this. Okay, here is one more example here. The more the examples you do in this case, the better is for you. A rod of length L is kept parallel to a long current carrying wire I. It is moving away from the wire with a velocity v. Find the EMF induced when the distance from the long wire is x. When the distance from the long wire is x, what is the EMF induced? Can you tell me the answer? Wherever you see anything moving, it is a simple case of motional EMF, and that is the answer here. The EMF will be V into B into L. L is the length, V is velocity. Magnetic field at a distance x from an infinite wire will be mu naught I by 2 pi x. What will be the direction of induced EMF or the battery? V is like this, B is like this. So this point becomes higher potential, this point becomes lower potential, and this is how you can draw the battery for this part. Do we understand this? Can I have some reason that we understand this, sir? Great. I'm expecting that. I don't know why, but you may get a question of this type. That's why I'm just doing this. Now, a rectangular loop as shown in the figure moves away from an infinite long wire carrying a current I. Find the EMF induced in this rectangular loop. How will you find the EMF in this rectangular loop? How will you find the EMF in this rectangular loop? EMF induced in this part will be 0 because L and V are parallel. EMF induced in this part is also 0. L and V are parallel. EMF will only be induced in this part and this part. Magnetic field is going down. EMF induced in this part will be like this. In this part will be no zero, no. In this part it will be like this. This will be equal to mu naught I by 2 pi x into L into V. This one would be mu naught I by 2 pi x plus B into L into V. This is farther, so this will be less. This is nearer, so this will be more. So current will flow like this. We have also found this direction using Lenz's law. Same direction is coming now. What is the net EMF? You subtract the two batteries and you get the net EMF, and the net EMF looks like this. Do we understand this? Can I have some raised hands from your side that we understand this, sir? This is the easiest way of doing any question that comes when a wire or a loop is moving. You do it by motional EMF. Do we understand this? There is one more way of doing it where we find out the flux. As you can see, that thing is very long and you might not be able to do it in a examination hall. That is why the method of doing it with a battery is always considered best. Please remember it. Mark my words. If this question comes, do it with the battery and you will be successful. This one comes next. A rod of length L is placed perpendicular to a long wire carrying current I. A rod is moved parallel to the wire with a velocity v. Find the EMF in the rod if the nearest end it has a distance a from the wire. What about this one? I'll give you a minute. Think about it. You must remember and understand what is the problem with this question. Here, magnetic field at this point and this point or any point in between is not constant. So you can't write the answer straight away. In fact, you will have to use the technique of integration. Take an element x, take an element at a distance x of length dx. V, my current in the wire is not given, so I'm assuming it like this. So magnetic field will be going down. V cross B. So the nearer end will be positive, higher potential. Farther end would be negative. So you know the positive and negative terminal, it will be like this. You have to find the EMF of this battery. So you take an element x and length dx. What will be the small change in potential? You can do that. The small change in potential would be, this is magnetic field B, this is V multiplied by dx. Dx is the length of this element. You integrate it from A to A plus L, knowing that the nearer end is the higher potential, the farther end is the lower potential, and you get the value of the induced EMF. Do we understand this? Do we understand this? Yes or no? Then you can solve this question. A rectangular loop is moving parallel to a current carrying wire I with a velocity v. Find the EMF induced in this loop. If the nearest end is the distance a from the wire, draw the equivalent circuit. What will be the EMF induced in this loop? EMF induced in this part will be 0. EMF induced in this part will be 0. EMF induced in the upper part, we have already found out the EMF induced in the upper part. EMF induced in the upper part will be this one. EMF induced in the lower part will also be this one. Upper part will also be like this. Lower part will also be like this. Both this will cancel each other out Hence, the net EMF induced in the loop will be zero. If the net EMF induced in the loop is zero, the current in the loop will also become zero. Yes or no? Can I raise hand that we understand this, sir? Okay. Then we have this EMF induced due to rotation. If you remember, I had this rod of length L placed in a magnetic field B. A was this end, B was this end, and I was rotating it with an angular velocity omega. What was the EMF induced between the 2 points? The answer was half B omega L squared. Do we remember this? Half B omega L squared. If it is rotating like this, the velocity is like this, V cross B. So we saw that end A was at higher potential, end B was at lower potential, and the potential difference was half B omega L square. Same concept. We have question number 7. Can you solve it? So here we have a rod of length 2L, which is rotated about its midpoint in a uniform magnetic field, which is perpendicular to the plane of the rotation of the rod. Find the EMF induced between P and Q. P is this point, Q is this point, this length is L, this length is also L. Find the EMF induced between point P and Q and P and C. Find the circuit diagram. So you can see this is how they have drawn the circuit diagram. Point C is coming at a higher potential between C and Q. The potential difference is half B omega L square. Between P and C again, half B omega L square. Point C is at a higher potential, and point P and Q are at the same potential. Do we get this? Do I understand this? Same question. Now I have placed an infinite wire of length, infinite wire carrying a current I. A rod of length L is rotating with an angular speed omega about its one end, which is at a distance A from an infinite long wire carrying current I. Find the EMF induced in the rod at the instant shown. So while the rod is like this straight, you have to find out the EMF induced in the rod. What will be the answer in this particular case? I'll give you a minute to solve it. You have to understand the difference between this question and the previous question. Remember, I've told you, keep this in mind, that whenever you see an infinite wire, the only reason an infinite wire is given to you is because they want to make the magnetic field non-uniform. Do we understand this? The only reason that they give an infinite wire is because they want magnetic field to be non-uniform. That is the only reason they give an infinite long wire. So now you have an infinite long wire, magnetic field due to this wire. To take a element at a distance x, they have taken it from here. You can take it from here. Doesn't matter how you take it. And you take a small element of length dx. V is like this, cross B. So you know this point, the nearer point will be higher potential. The farther point will be lower potential, so the battery will be like this. You just have to find the value of this EMF. Remember, magnetic field is non-uniform, so you'll have to integrate it. Magnetic field at a distance x plus a, because they have taken x from the end. They have taken x from the end. If I take x from the wire, it will be mu naught I by 2 pi x. You can take it anywhere. Into x omega. Why they have taken x from the end? Because they want to convert velocity as, we have to write velocity as omega r. If you take x from the end of the wire, it will be a minus x, or x minus a multiplied by I. It will just look complicated. That's why they have taken it from here. Now you need to integrate this. Remember, this is the integration of x upon x plus a dx. You have to integrate it by breaking it into fractions. So you will write this x as x plus a minus a divided by x plus a. So it will be 1 minus a upon x plus a. This is how they have integrated it, and that is the result that they have. Please remember this result. If you're lucky, same question will come, and then you will be overjoyed to see this in the examination hall. Why we are doing so many questions in this and not in the previous thing? Because I somehow feel that you are going to get questions from this side. I'm just hoping that it is the case. This is my intuition. My intuition can be right, my intuition can be wrong. Well, but it is my intuition, so I'm just doing it. I've always followed my intuition. Now they could give you a case like this, where instead of the rod being flat, the rod can be at an angle. So here is the answer for this. If you put theta as 0, you will get the answer of the first case. So just remember it. So this is for your remembrance. To remember it, you will get the answer in this case. Now the next category of questions here. Remember, most of the questions in EMI are from this. Then there is the other category where you have induced electric field. The number of questions there are very limited. The most of the questions that we see in this chapter are from this part, and hence we are giving so much attention on this part. A rod of mass m and length r, and resistance small r is placed on a fixed, frictionless, smooth conducting rail close by resistance capital R, and is projected with an initial velocity u. Find its velocity as a function of time. Find its velocity as a function of time. How will you do this? How will you do this? Remember, whenever you encounter a question of this type, it is always a question of motional EMF. So you do it by this concept. You convert this into a battery, VBL. Then you find the current in the circuit, VBL by R. After any time t, what will happen? The velocity of the rod will keep on decreasing. Why will the velocity of rod keep on decreasing? Because of the motion of this rod, this EMF is induced in this loop. So this induced EMF will be applying a force. The direction of current will be such that the force will be applied in the reverse direction, so that the speed of the rod reduces, because rod is the motion of the rod is the reason why this EMF is getting induced. So you find the current. This is now a current carrying wire placed in a magnetic field. It will experience a force. From that force, you can find out acceleration, and that acceleration will be dv by dt. It will be coming as a function of v. From here, you can find velocity as a function of time. Do we get this? Can I have some raised hand that we understand this, sir? Well done, Jayan. See, this is what I was talking about. This is the magnetic field. This is the magnetic force, and the body is getting deaccelerated. The value of I is given by this. So you put it here. Acceleration as dv by dt. Here there is dv. Here there is v. Here it is t. So you separate the terms and you simply integrate this. It will be an exponential function and you will get your answer like this. That will be the graph of velocity as a function of time. Are you getting my point? Do we understand this? Can I have some raise hand that we understand this, sir? Well done, Jayant. I hope you are enjoying this. The next question asks you, if in the above case, find the force required to move the rod with constant velocity. So whatever force is being applied by the motional EMF, by the current in the wire, same force you must apply so that it moves with a constant velocity v, and that is the power of the external force. It's as simple as it gets. Now there are different variations of the same problem. This is one more variation of the same problem. In the above question, if a constant force F is applied on the rod, find the velocity of rod as a function of time, assuming that it starts with zero initial velocity. So instead of giving it a velocity v, I've applied a constant force F. I've applied a constant force F. What is the velocity of the rod as a function of time? Now this is the equation of motion. Tan tan. Current is given like this. Tan tan. Then you just do the same stuff. Integrate it. Get your answers. Stay happy. Do you get this? The only thing is integration would be a bit more difficult because F minus KV will come in the denominator. Doesn't matter. What I want to share here is this diagram. That is what I wanted to share here. See, after a very long time, it will reach this Vmax. This Vmax will occur at t is equal to infinity. This looks like I is equal to I naught, q is equal to q naught, 1 minus e to the power minus t by tau. Do you remember this? It comes in the similar fashion. Yes or no? This and this come in a similar fashion. Yes or no? Now this is the maximum velocity that it is going to acquire. At this stage, what will happen? Your magnetic force and the force that you applied have become equal, and hence the velocity becomes constant. Do you know what this velocity is also known as? This velocity is also known as VT, terminal velocity. Have you heard this term, terminal velocity? It cannot have a velocity more than this velocity, terminal velocity. This is what I wanted to tell you. They could have asked, what is the terminal velocity? How do you find the terminal velocity? Terminal velocity is very simple to find. You just equate F, which is applied force, as ILB, where I is the current. You can write the current as BLV by R. From there, you will get the value of terminal velocity, velocity at which external force and magnetic force becomes same. This is same question as something falling from a great height. It acquires a terminal velocity because of Stokes' law. Remember Stokes' law, 6 pi eta RV. When you drop it slowly, it is getting accelerated because of acceleration due to gravity mg, weight mg acting downwards. The velocity increases, but as soon as the velocity increases, the resistive force or the viscous force increases, 6 pi eta RV. When the viscous force increases, its acceleration becomes slow. At one point in time, this 6 pi eta RV, which is trying to push it up or resist its motion, becomes equal to its weight, and that is where it acquires terminal velocity. Remember a question of terminal velocity. will always have two forces. One would be a constant force. In the case of body falling, it is gravitational force. Here, it is the force which I am applying on the rod. That is the constant force. One is a constant force. The other one is a variable force directly proportional to velocity. In the case of falling body, Stokes law, it was 6 pi eta RV. Here it is ILB. I is VBL. So we have a force depending on velocity. You equate these forces and you get your terminal velocity. Do I understand? I mean, do we understand this or not? Or have I said too much too soon? Jayan has understood this. I hope that we understand this. What about the others? Vishnu, do we understand this? Great. So remember, such questions can come in your class, in your exam. This is the question that I was talking about. I gave you this question. Every one of us knows how to solve this. Here, what they have done, they have given the resistance as small r as well. That is how they have changed the question, right? So their question and my question pretty similar, pretty similar. Their diagram is like this. The diagram is like this. I hope you can find the value of current in the two branches, three branches. Remember my tarika, remember my tarika. What was my tarika? I1, I2, I3. Remember that. Nodal theorem, point A, point B. You can straight away get the value of I1, I or I2 or I3. Do we remember this stroke, that nodal theorem? You can do it by nodal theorem or you can do it by Kirchhoff's law. Once you convert the wire into a battery, it's a simple question. It's a simple question of Kirchhoff's law or nodal theorem. Getting Jayant is asking me what is nodal theorem, sir? Please explain once. So I'll just give you a brief review of this nodal theorem. So I have this a simple circuit here, a resistance here, a resistance here, a circuit here, R1, E1, R2, E2, R3. I have to find current in all the branches. What do? I call this point as node A. I call this point as node B. I ground node B and I call the potential of this point as V. So this V is the potential of point A with respect to B. I call the current here as I1. I call the current here as I2. I call the current here as I3. I1 plus I2 plus I3 has to be 0. To write I1, I write this as V, and this is from positive to negative, V minus E divided by the total resistance R1. Oops, you're not seeing it. Okay, so this is how I've drawn this. I1 is here, I2 is here, I3 is here. I1 becomes V minus E by R1. I2 becomes V minus E2 by R2. I3 becomes V by R3. That is equal to 0. From here, you can calculate the value of V. Put the value of V in the first equation. You will get the value of I1. In this, you will get the value of I2. In this, you will get the value of I3. Do you understand this now, Jayan? We have done this nodal theorem for current, resistance. We have also done this for capacitance. So just you can do it by this method. I hope you can remember this. So once you convert the diagram into a circuit, it is a simple question of nodal theorem or Kirchhoff's law. Now what they have done in this question, instead of a battery, they have put a capacitor. You applied a force, constant force F. magnetic field is V. Find the velocity of the moving rod as a function of time. Initial velocity is V and a constant force F is applied. How do you do this? Here they have combined more than two elements. They have combined a capacitor also. Don't need to panic. Just think it out. I'll give you 2 minutes. How do you do this one? Remember, there is a capacitor. So look at the first step. Current in this branch is I1. Current in this branch is dq by dt. Rate of change of charge. Charge is q, plus q here, minus q here. Velocity at this point is v. Force is constant force F. Magnetic field is B. Rod is moving this side, so force will be acting on this side. You can write the Newton law. F minus ILB is equal to MA. So far so clear? Please tell me yes. Now this BLV is the EMF induced in this rod. That will be equal to I1 R1, because these 2 points are at the same potential, whether you go from this branch or this branch or this branch. That is equal to I1 R, that is equal to QC. Now you can apply Kirchhoff's current law. I will be equal to I1 plus dq by dt. Incoming should be equal to outgoing. So VBL by R plus d by dt of VBQ into C. VL and C are constant. So dV by dt it will become, and that will be acceleration. Yes or no? So far so clear? So far so clear. Well done. Then we have this. I will become equal to this. You can now put this value of I in the first equation. So the first equation starts to look like this. Now you can separate the terms. There is this entire term with one V on this side, and there is entire dV on this side. So this entire term goes with this side. This dt will come here and this will come in the denominator. So it will look like this. Now you can integrate this, get your answer, and stay happy. Do we understand this? This is one of the most difficult problems that can be made here. If you understand this, it is pretty damn simple. Pretty damn simple, I call it. Yes. Okay. Now this is a question that always puzzles me and the students. Please read this question and see how this question is done. A rod PQ of length L. Remember, same question we have done in magnetic field. But see the difference between this question and the previous one. A rod PQ of length L is rotating about the end P with an angular velocity omega. Well done, so far so good. Due to centrifugal forces, the free electrons in the rod V cross P should move there. Okay, due to centrifugal forces, but we have to see what is given in the question. Due to centrifugal forces, the free electrons in the rod move towards the end Q. Well done. Here, electrons are moving, but not because of magnetic force, because of centrifugal force. Due to centrifugal forces, the free electrons in the rod move towards the end Q and an EMF is created. Find the induced EMF. Find the induced EMF. So, How it is to be done? Again, there has to be a steady state. In this steady state, there will be, once the electrons have moved to one side, they will create an electric field. Because of this electric field, they will experience electric force E into E. If this electric force balances the centrifugal force, the drifting of electrons will stop and they'll just rotate. They will not drift. The drifting will stop when your centrifugal forces equate the electrostatic force. So from here you can find out the value of this electric field, mass of the electron, omega squared x by charge of the electron. This is the electric field, the value of electric field for which the drifting of electrons, the moving of electrons towards the other end will stop and they will just rotate. Once you know the value of electric field, you multiply it by dx, E dot dx, you integrate it, and you get the value of induced EMF. Do we understand this? Can I have raised hand that we understand this, sir? So far, so good, sir. This was a good question, sir. Yes or no, sir? Well done, sir. EMF induced in a rotating disc. Now, what we'll do is I'll stop the class here, and the next class we'll be doing this fixed loop in a varying magnetic field, that is induced electric field. The next class, that is tomorrow, we'll be doing this rotating disc, rotating ring, slipping ring, slipping disc, rolling ring, rolling disc. In today's class, it won't be possible for me to cover everything. Only 2 minutes have left. So I'll finish this class here. We have done almost all types of questions that were possible for me to do it. There can be more questions, but if you can do these many questions that we have discussed, we have covered almost everything. The only question we have not covered is, instead of a capacitor we put a inductor. I think you will find that question in SCV or somewhere. If I get that question, I will do that question as well. I'll see if I get it, but I have to find out. So the only question that we have not done is, instead of a capacitor here, instead of a capacitor here, I put an inductor here. It's the only thing that is left. But even that can be done. We'll see if I can find a question of inductor. I think it was in SC Verma. Well, I see if I find a question where you have an inductor in the circuit apart from the capacitor. That is the only question that is left. Else we have covered almost everything that was possible. In the next class, we'll be doing this rotating disc, rolling disc, and banana disc and disc, and see how it affects. How do you find this induced EMF? Because between 2 points on this disc, or on the ring, or on the slipping ring, or on the rolling, that will be in the next class. I'll end today's class here. I hope you enjoyed it. All things are covered. If any question comes in EMI, I am sure you should be able to do it now. That's it from my end for this class. Is there anything that I can help you with? Please let me know. Dismiss the class today here at this point. I think you have this sheet. Please go through this. If you can do this much, it is more than enough to sail you through physics, and you will get a rank as well. Bye bye for now. Take care. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Meet you tomorrow. Not the same time. Usual time. 2 o'clock. We'll meet at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Today I had some engagements. I could not come at 2 o'clock. That's why we schedule the class later on. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, be there. We'll be discussing more interesting problems. See you. Bye bye.